Welcome to Networking with Nathaniel, a podcast where I get to dive deep into the journeys of real estate investors, entrepreneurs, business owners, and just people that are making waves in their lives and in their industries. So whether you're an investor, a deal maker, or just somebody that's, looking to level up, I think you've come to the right place. I hope you find value in what we're doing. I'm Nathaniel Hovsepian. I'm a real estate investor and a health and wellness coach for busy dads who are trying to take control of their health. More than that, I am a husband, I'm a father, and I'm an entrepreneur. Well, I have closed millions of dollars in real estate deals, and I've helped other people do the same. This podcast is not about me. It is about our guest. I look forward to introducing him in just a second. But if you have not already subscribed to the channel, click the subscribe button. If you haven't liked the video already and you're joining us, hit the like button. It helps us reach more people and provide value and insights to the masses. So, my guest today, Michael Scarpa, or Mike Scarpa. Excuse me if he doesn't go by Michael. He is an amazing person that has done a lot in a very short period of time. He and his wife were able to leave their amazing jobs in 2022 and since then have done over 100 deals, mostly using creative finance to set themselves up for financial freedom. They're also giving back to their communities by coaching and teaching what they've learned along the way. I'm very excited to welcome to the stage Mr. Scarpa. Is it Michael or Mike? I messed that.
You could call
Either
me Mike.
way.
It's
Okay,
easy.
yeah. I appreciate you being here, man. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm really excited to be here. I always watch your channel. I always watch the podcast that you put out. So to be on here is really exciting. And I'd love to be able to share a little insight with everybody today on how we got to where we are, me and Jay, my wife, and
Yeah.
ask away.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. So, I mentioned that you guys have done over 100 deals here. Am I correct in that it's been 2 years or it has been that four? Because I know you guys got started in 2022 or in 2020,
Yeah.
but went full time in 2022.
Yep. So basically, think about it as in 2020, we started off like a toddler on our hands and knees, going super slow for the
Yeah.
first couple of years. Back in 2020, basically, what had happened was I remember it exactly. COVID happened, right? We got sent home for work. So we were working
Mhm.
from home, me and Jay, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I was an accountant. Jay was a paralegal. We were working from home in a 700 square foot apartment right next to each other. So
Yeah.
we were like, wow, okay, you know what? Like after about 3 months of doing this, right? This was maybe April or May. We said, look, there's got to be something else. Sitting here realizing what we're doing now, actually at home, not leaving, this is not what we want for our future, right?
Yeah.
And working at home, we're never going to be able to have kids and like actually enjoy what we want. So around that time, I actually was thinking of doing like Amazon drop shipping, all that crazy stuff back then,
Yeah.
right? And Jay said, "No, I'm a real estate paralegal. I see all of these people doing
Mm.
these huge real estate deals, making out and making a killing. We need to get in a little bit on this action, specifically that we're in Philly, which is getting gentrified like crazy, right?"
Mm. Yeah.
So around that time, we started reading some books. We went to a couple in-person meetups, right? And then right around that time is when we hired a realtor. So it was October of 2020, we bought our first rental on the market conventionally, 20% down. We
Okay.
still have that property. It's in Philly. We rented it out Section 8. And after that, we looked at our bank account and said, we got a problem. We ran out of money, right?
Yeah.
We put 20% down. We had no other cash because we were basically fresh out of college at that point. We were maybe like 23, 24, maybe.
Yeah.
So at that point, we said, okay, what are we going to do? We love the process, right? We love the idea of where this can go. We can see that vision, but we are stuck right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we had talked about using private money. And, this is something that we always even talk about with our students too, is that if you're brand new, especially at the time we didn't have coaches or nothing, we were fresh off the press. to go and use private money or someone else's money with no knowledge, experience, or hand holding, it could get risky, right? That's somebody
Yeah.
else's earned cash. So
Yeah.
me and Jay said, how is there a way we can expand and do more with the resources that we already have? It kind of goes back to like how we were raised a little bit too. I come from a working class, old school Italian blue collar family. Jay is actually from and was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and her
Okay.
family owned a farm, and they still own the farm. So we both were taught to be resourceful, basically maximize with what you have and use it to your advantage.
Mm.
So basically, we said, with the little that we have right now, what can we do? So we wind up going to a virtual meetup. This is in April of 2021, right? And we first learned about creative financing from a guest speaker that had came on, and they were talking about how they just had taken over somebody's mortgage and they just bought another property where they're paying the seller. And we were like, wow, okay, we
Yeah.
put
What?
we could put a fraction down on these
Mm.
properties. We don't need our debt to income anymore, right? And now we
Nope.
can grow and make something out of this. So at that point, we hired coaches to teach us how to network, to market ourselves on social media, how to get leads, and how to talk with sellers, right?
Mm.
Because we said, look, it's going to be really hard for us to find these types of deals on the market, so we got to go out and do it ourselves, right? So we jumped in right around April of 2021. We ended our lease in Philadelphia, and we moved in with my mom in New Jersey
Okay.
for about 10 months. Uh,
Okay.
we worked out of her garage, and that's actually where we started our business, was at her house in her garage, little Steve Jobs, Steve Jobs action. So from there, man, it was like, I would say September of 21, we did our first creative financing deal. We found it on Facebook Marketplace. It was a free lead. Negotiated with the seller for $5,000 down. It was a 2.5% interest rate and a 5-year term.
Wow.
We wind up turning that into a rent to own or a lease option. And we have since sold it, but that's what we did with her first one. And then it honestly just snowballed from there. Um,
Yeah.
we right around the new year, that time in 2022, is when we started doing a couple wholesale deals. We said, you know what, we had these deals, we can't buy them all. What do we do with them? So
Mm-hmm.
we assigned them, made like 40 grand in 3 months, which at the time was like about 2/3 of what Jay's salary was. And we said, okay, we're on to something.
Yeah.
And just snowballed and picked up. And then by June of 2022, our jobs were calling us back to the office. At that point, we've made a little over 6 figures.
Yeah. You're like, I'm
And,
not going back.
and me and
I'm
Jay
not going
quit.
back. Yeah.
The day we quit, we booked a flight to Puerto Rico, and we stayed with Jay's grandparents in Puerto Rico for a month and did deals from Puerto Rico.
Amazing. Yeah. That's the power here is that like you can do them from anywhere. So you
Yep.
did your first one while you were living in Philly. You did a bunch, it sounds like. And wait, was it your parents or your parent-in-law, your in-laws?
So it was we lived
Your
with my
parents. Yeah,
mom.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yep.
her parents are in, yeah, duh.
Mhm.
And then you're able to go, hey, let's quit the jobs, let's not do the jobs. We're onto something here. We see a path to, you know, way, way, way exceeding what we could make at our W-2, and we can do this anywhere. Let's go to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat. I don't think I think, Tom, this is probably something better for us to talk outside of the podcast, but refinancing a mortgage, he absolutely, he bought it at the highest interest rate, 7.875, 240,000 loan. When should I refi? Yeah, probably just wait on it because
Yeah.
rates haven't gone down that much. I don't want to get, if you want to reach out to me, Tom, on Facebook, let's do that. I'll chat with you more. Going back now, so you started in October of 2020 with hiring a real estate agent.
Yep.
What made you want to go leave the agent and go direct to seller?
Honestly, man, it really came down to the strategy of how we were acquiring, right? So
Mm.
when we talked with our agent about it, she at the time basically said, I don't know you're talking about like
Averaging out.
most sellers are just going to want to list and sell it. And we had multiple conversations with realtors at that time, right? And every single one of them was telling us that. And of course, we have great relationships with realtors now. We love them. Actually, we're closing on a property on Monday that was a pocket listing from an agent, seller
Okay.
financing, like 2% down. But
Yeah.
at that time, we didn't know how to explain this stuff. So
Right.
we thought the best way to do this was, all right, let's market the sellers. Let's ask them a script of questions and let's see if we can negotiate directly with them. And of course, I still to this day think that is the best way to get the best deals, but
Mm.
there's a ton to be had on the market as well. Um,
Yeah. I did a similar thing. We bought our first investment property with a realtor, and immediately we were like, "Oh, let's change what or let wait, it's not broken, let's fix it," kind of a
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
But I wanted the kind of control of the process more where, I'm talking to my realtor, they're talking to the seller's realtor, and then the realtor's talking to the seller, and it's like, where are we in this conversation? I just wanted to go straight to the source and be able to, like you're saying, have I'm asking the person directly these questions, and I'm able to tailor the perfect solution for what they need, not what this realtor or this realtor needs.
Exactly.
And I don't want to disparage realtors, obviously, because they're definitely providing a service, and I think most of them are trying to do what's in the best interests of their clients, but there are ones out there that are. So it's 2022. You guys have just quit.
Yep.
You are wholesaling now. Are you still wholesaling at this point?
Yeah, so up until this day, we're still wholesaling.
Okay.
It's a good way to just keep the lights on, pay for the employees,
Yeah.
marketing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, at that time in June of 22, when we quit, up until that point, we had never still spent a dollar on marketing. Basically, it was all organic marketing from
Mm.
Facebook. That's how we cultivated all of our seller leads. I think we did about 10 to 15 transactions at that point. So over about a year and a half's time span, like I said, all from organic. When we made
Wow.
that jump into full time, me and Jay looked at each other and said, look, at this point, we have now gained enough traction. We can bet on ourselves a little bit more. And we went full time business. At that point, we got a
Mhm.
CRM, we did paid marketing, and we started getting leads that way. So we just went
Okay.
all in. It was just like quit, boom, started it.
This is it's not mind-blowing for me because I recommend everybody start out with just like a Google Excel sheet. But for so many people starting out, instead of getting on the phones or whatever that next real money-making activity is, we spend our time trying to figure out what a CRM, like what CRM should we use, what dialer should we use. You've done a bunch of deals already and haven't even thought about a CRM yet. What
It
did you
was,
use to like manage all of
yeah.
your I mean,
So straight up, it was, I don't have it. Oh, dang. I used to keep it right here just so I can look at it and like
yeah,
remind
like be
myself. But
reminded.
it was a brown accordion folder. It was $10 on Amazon. It was labeled 1 through 31. I had a
Mhm.
stack of sheets right here. So we have like a 10 question script. I printed out the script and made them multiple choice or what lines. And I had a stack of like blank ones right here. And then I had my accordion folder here. Every time I talk with a seller, I'd take a sheet, I'd fill it out. If I had to hop on a phone call, we make the phone call. If it didn't work out and it was a follow up, I'd put it in whatever day today was in the accordion folder. And that was my follow up system.
Yeah, cool.
Free, free
I
99.
say that because it's so simple to get started with. It is systematized to where you are able to track them through whatever follow-up process that you're doing, and it's just so easy that it blows my mind a little bit that you've taken and the physical copy of things where you're actually writing down and you're able to pull it out, and just the physical copy I think is a reminder that, hey, I talked to John, I remember this conversation. It's easy to get lost in a Google sheet or a CRM sometimes even though you take notes, but yeah, so that's amazing. And you said you didn't spend any money on this marketing, but you did spend money on this accordion folder and some paper. Yeah, yeah. So that's amazing. Kudos to you, like for j- being able to do all these deals and realizing that it's not the CRM that's important. It's not the dialer that's important. It's the taking the steps and taking the action. You know, networking with Nathaniel is about the guest and you, but the things that we can take away from you. And that's something that I've taken away so far is like, this guy's an action taker. This guy's going to figure out what the heck he can do right now today to go get deals and to go be successful. So at this point, you've got a CRM. Is it still just you and Jay, or have you brought
We
some
have a
people on?
team of, we just hired somebody else. So I'm trying to think of, right now we have a team of 6 virtual assistants,
Okay.
a dispositions manager, and a TC.
Wow.
So we
Okay.
have an 8-person team.
Yeah.
It just slowly progressed. And basically what happened is every time we turned the dial up a little bit more, right, there would always be a bottleneck, right? It's like, okay, we we now need to get the lead gen off, or not lead gen, but we need to get the talking with the sellers off our plate, right? Because our old process was lead comes in, Jay texts back and forth with that seller, and then books a phone call on my calendar,
Yeah.
right? But then as we started to grow, the capacity was too much. And now me and Jay just now had created another job, which is what we left.
Yeah.
So at that point, I think it was like midway through that summer, we hired a virtual assistant. She's still with us today. She's actually now from a lead specialist. She's our executive assistant. She's
Mm,
like both of our right hands. She's awesome.
yeah.
Um, so she started taking up the lead conversations. Jay started working more on the operations and building SOPs and basically gearing up for if we ever wanted to move out of certain roles. And then I continued to stay in my closer role or
Yeah.
negotiating role. Um, as time went on, right, social media was how we get most of our leads, right, and so Facebook and all that. So we had to hire somebody else, right? So at that point, we hired somebody to help with content and social media. Then we hired,
Okay.
right? It just kept snowballing and going and going.
Yeah.
Yep.
You mentioned the organic, getting started. You found a bunch of organic leads. What
Hmm.
is what is organic social like when I think of social media as far as lead gen goes, it's like Facebook ads, PPC, Google um having a website that's high ranking. What does an organic like post look like that you're going to get in
Absolutely.
front of a seller?
So there's multiple ways to get leads. The top 3 on how we used to get our leads organically and how we do it our students too. And I still do it sometimes because it's fun to just see what's working, test posts, stuff like that.
Mm,
But basically, going live is huge. So
okay.
Facebook loves when you go live, right? They basically praise you for it. They boost your algorithm, right? And it goes everywhere. So when you're on social media and you're on live, just tell everybody what you're looking for.
Mm,
Honestly, that's how we got this house. This is our primary.
yeah.
I put a post. Then the second way is posting just a words on the post with a colored background. You know how you can change the background
Oh,
color,
yeah.
right? Like that. Just telling people what you're looking for. I'm looking to buy a house, this month, or I X, Y, and Z. And then the last way is honestly Facebook Marketplace. It's super underrated. Uh,
Okay.
that's how we got our first deal. We got multiple deals on there. That's how a lot of our students they've gotten deals in the past. And it's honestly like sellers on there. There's obviously needles in the haystack, but there is a lot of gold to be mined there.
Mm,
Now, my favorite method is, like I said, making the post with the colored background. That's where we used to get all of, like, I would say 90% of our leads. We take those posts, right? Say, hey, I'm looking to buy a house. Like, does anybody have anything for sale? Question mark. Colored background. You post it in like the different groups, yard sale groups, community
okay.
groups, or on your story, right?
Yeah.
Or on your main page. Um, I
Oh,
did it. I So just as a test, right? So as us as like being a business owner, if we're running the same sponsored ads on Facebook all the time, they get played out, right? People keep seeing them, especially in the same
mhm.
market. So you always got to keep it fresh. So how do we do that? I go back to our old school methods of organic. I test them for free, see which ones work, and then I implement them.
Yeah.
Well,
That's so smart.
I tested one and I had a lady on for this house reach out to us and say, hey, I'm in foreclosure. I'm going through divorce. I need your help. I need to sell my house? I was like, all right, let's do it. So I asked all the questions and push comes to shove. She wants like 5 grand to walk away with. She has $10,000 in back payments and she's out.
Mm,
So we bought this house subject to, um, and put like 5 grand down, caught up her back payments and closing costs. We brought in a long-term private money lender for the entry fee and some reno. So we actually got paid on the day of closing
yeah.
for all the reno costs. So
Yeah. That's so powerful. Like once you understand the processes that you can actually get paid to buy houses and hold them long term. Like
yep.
that's a little mind blowing. Especially when as we get started out, it's like go wholesale. That's how you get started. And don't get me wrong, wholesaling is an excellent, amazing way to get started. And like you mentioned at the top of the show, when you are just getting started, going and borrowing somebody's, nest egg, their savings that they've been saving up, it's a tough sell. Like people want to see that you have experience, that you have a track record, that you're not just going to take their money and disappear, or just lose it because you don't know what you're doing. So getting started in wholesaling or under the wing, the tutelage of somebody like yourself is an amazing way to jump into it. So this is my segue here, Mike. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it, man.
You have well, like, yeah, okay. So you are coaching now. You're giving back to the people a lot of the things that you've learned. When did that start? When did you start doing that?
Yeah, that was in the summer of 2023, and it was not formal. It was
Okay.
actually we had a couple friends that approached us, or people we knew from social media, but like friends, right? And they said, "Look, is there any way that you can show us, or can we pay you for your time to teach us how you're doing what you're doing?" We did a couple flicks and flips, and we did okay. We did a BRRRR, and we got burned.
Mm,
We really want to try to do creative financing and see if we can make this happen. So me and Jay said, sure. We came up with a payment, and we did a structure with them. They wind up getting their first deal within like the first 4 weeks of working with us from Facebook Marketplace.
wow.
Um, and then they built out a team by the time that they were done. And then from there, they recommended somebody else to us, and we said, sure, like we'll take you on, but it still wasn't our main focus. And then all of a sudden, we went on some podcasts, and then like people started coming to us, and we were like, all right, like maybe we need to make a little bit more structure out of this. So really, we created Roman's Creative Academy, actual business, what full-time structure, like lesson plans, everything. I would say right around January of 2024. And since then, we've successfully coached a little over one-on-one, because we don't do group coaching. We've successfully coached one-on-one a little over 30 people.
Wow. That's awesome.
So,
Uh, what is Romans?
so
I
Roman,
was gonna ask. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Roman is my buddy.
Yeah.
Roman is our 5-year-old red-nosed pit bull. Basically, long story short, right around that time when we got started in real estate, when we got sent home for COVID, you know, we wind up getting a dog. We found him roaming the streets of Philadelphia in a really bad neighborhood. So we did a
Mhm.
play on words, and we called him Roman.
Yeah.
Then as we started real estate, we were saying, hey, what are we going to name our business? And we said, why don't we name it Roman for Homes? Right.
Yeah.
Roman was Roman for home. We're Roman for home. So
I love it.
he's sleeping right now downstairs on the rug.
Yeah. As
But
they do when they're not actively engaged in play or
yeah.
something. I love it. Yeah. Our main company is called the Expert Home Buyers, and sometimes I wish that I went back and thought of something more clever because it's just like the Expert Home Buyers. But we kind of chose it for SEO purposes as well. But
Yep.
um, so you mentioned you're only doing one-on-one coaching,
Hmm.
which I think is awesome because a lot of the times in the group settings, which is something that I found myself in like school, is that I learned the concept. I'm ready to move on to implementation or whatever the next step is, and other people might be a little bit slower. So I like, oh man, that sounded awful.
So
I'm so
they
fast.
all
I'm
get it,
so
dude.
smart. Yeah, yeah. Gosh. Um, Sorry for anybody out there that took offense to that. I'm not sorry. But yeah, so I love the one-on-one thing. Oh, before I get to that, are you
Okay.
still closing? Are you still like acting as the closer in your business?
Yes.
Okay.
So right now we've figured out a way to delegate almost every other task. The thing is when it comes to a closer, right? You have to find not only somebody who has the skill, like to be able to hop on a phone, be able to pick up on the social cues,
Mm,
want to talk to a lot of people every day, right?
yeah.
And then run with it. But you also have to find somebody who's very hungry, right?
Mm,
And that who doesn't get full after getting paid a few times, right? Because in
mm,
this business, we it's very hard to give a base salary and then on top of that also give commission. So to keep somebody moving is what's been difficult. So again, I'm all about talking about all my wins, but I'm also very big and being honest and open about some things that we still need some help with. And I think one of that is being able to learn how to hire and train somebody to step into my role. We actually had somebody working with us for a while and it was going well. But she had some issues on the family side and, it was just too much. So she had to take a step back and I came back in. Um, so
yeah.
as of right now, I am still the closer in the business. Every other task has been delegated, but um, if there's anybody listening, I'm always open
Yeah,
for
so I
you
was
to
gonna
reach out and
what so
yeah,
you mentioned the we'll just call them sales skills, I guess, but the active listening for certain cues that are letting you know kind of a peek behind the curtains, or hey, I need to dig a little bit more into this specific topic. But the hungry part, are there any other characteristics or traits that make a good closer, or something that you'd be looking for in a hire? Because there are going to be people that are watching this, and I'm always networking with Nathaniel, other people, so I can keep my ears to the grindstone for you.
yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you. Yeah, for basically what we have seen in terms of what makes a good closer, and not somebody to say that they're not a good closer, but or negotiator or sales rep, right? But you need to have a type A personality, right?
Mm,
You need to be a go-getter, you need to be forward, right? And you have to have a little bit of that friendly competition within you. Two is
mm,
you have to be coachable, right? You'll never know everything. I'll never know everything. That's just the name of the game. But if you are coachable and you could take direction and then implement, that is the recipe for success from what we've seen. Is type A and to be coachable.
I love it. Are there anything from like the sales skills standpoint that you would kind of require somebody to have right now if they were to apply for a closer position?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say you'd at least need 1 year's worth of sales experience prior.
Okay.
Just enough for you to understand that field, have those soft sales skills already in place so that the all of us on our team can help you multiply and go into the sales role, but for real estate. So
Just
sales experience doesn't matter what industry you are in, because at
okay.
the same time, sales is sales.
Yeah. Yeah, like knowing the product, so to speak, has its benefits, but at least the way I did my sales is like it's really about the person and what they're trying to accomplish and what they're needing.
Exactly.
You need to know your product enough to know that we can solve this problem. But if I just come in, I love the pen analogy because like it's made famous by the movies like sell me this pen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best blue pen ever. It writes upside down and then the cap comes off and look, it has a flashlight. Oh, I need a black pen, dude. Oh crap. Like, you're immediately gone because you just tried to sell them the pen. Okay, this isn't a sales training. Uh, what's what can somebody expect from your coaching program? Is it, and I'll clarify the question a little bit, like, is it a 6-week thing? Is it once a week calls with you? Those types of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So the coaching program structure that me and Jay have is, You meet with us once a week during a time and day that we agree upon. You're with us for 10 months. Um,
Okay.
and every Friday, on top of our meeting, we also have what we call like our open door office hours or whatnot. And that's like our group coaching setting as well, to help keep all the students together, create a sense of community, and that they can network.
I
Right.
love that. Yeah.
And then we also have, different forms of support so that me and Jay can be there, and other students who are, obviously at a different level can also help the newer people, or vice versa. So,
Okay. I know they're like, I don't know, coursework videos and things like that that they come in and they're like, "Hey, watch these things before our first call," or that type of stuff.
yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So we start, as we still sit it right now today, we are just doing the one-on-one. So you come in and we are with you and teaching
Wow.
you from ground zero. One thing that we may do is just maybe start adding a little bit of videos up front for the super basics, because that's what we've actually gotten requests from people, is like, hey, to enable, in order for us to get a little closer to talking with X, Y, and Z, maybe we can, is there any way that we could just watch some videos on the super basics? So that's
Yeah.
maybe something we do. But honestly, right now, man, is when it comes down to it, creative financing, I can go on there's multiple different coaches, right? You got Pace Morby, there's many different people, and every single one of them offers the same thing.
Mm.
And that is a module course with a group coaching setting.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to say, I can't learn in that type of setting. I don't pick up on it. And you said it best: when it comes to implementation, it is very hard to implement when you're in a group setting and you may only get a chance to ask one or two questions, maybe a couple times a week. So
Yeah.
what me and
If
Jay
that.
said is like, look, if we want to help somebody build an acquisitions business, because that's what we do, that's what our coaching program is geared towards. We're helping you build an acquisitions business from the ground up with a niche in sales and creative financing, right?
Mm.
So what do we need in order to do that? There's only one way to do it, and it really is to handhold and to be with you along the way.
Yeah, I love that. I would, um, I would guess that, like you're saying, there are some things that you can front load and just be able to kind of hit the ground running, so to speak, in those, at least those first couple of coaching calls. Like, we don't need to go over the basic terminology and things like that because you've already watched the 20-minute video that explains that. Um,
Yep.
and just like take a little bit off your plate essentially. But the having the one-on-one and being able to come, hey, this is what I ran into this week. Help.
Yep.
Help. Yeah. Are it sounds like yes, but are you focused solely on helping people with the Facebook um organic marketing, or are there other aspects of this that you help?
Yeah, absolutely. So with our students right now, we start all them out with organic marketing, right? To be part of our coaching program, right? Obviously you have to pay to play and all that stuff. So instead of them coming in and not only paying us and then immediately getting all the bells and whistles, let's
Right.
throw it back to the basics. How can we start getting you familiar with talking with sellers? Because most people coming into with us, they've never talked with a seller directly before, right?
Mm,
How can we work on your marketing and your sales skills? And then once you've really got that down pat, a lot of our students, probably 90 to 95% of them, then start to switch over into the paid leads so that they can really turn it up and start to get to the sales and
yeah.
transaction side of things and the exit strategies.
I love
So
that. Like, you're gonna stumble and you're gonna fall early on. Let's make it as low a barrier of entry as possible,
exactly,
financially at least. That
exactly.
way you make those, like, because Google ads or like Facebook ads, like that adds up really fast. And
Yep,
it would suck to fumble a phone call on a $500 prospect. So
exactly.
yeah, I like that. Oh, I had a follow-on question and it's gone. What is it? The train left the station. Choo
Yeah.
choo. Uh,
When it comes to Facebook ads too, just to give you an idea, that's actually till this day, that is really the only form of paid marketing that we do.
Okay.
We have bird dogs, we have realtors that we have very good, close connections with here in Pennsylvania, like the one that we're buying on Monday. And then we also have our we also have a VA who sometimes will post in the group still and get organic leads. But in terms of paid, that's what we do. We typically getting about 200 leads inbound a month. So
Okay.
it's about 50 a week. And our average cost per lead is like $15. So
Okay.
it's pretty.
Oh, well, just turned into KPIs. Out of the 200, how many are like
Yeah.
key performance indicators? Knowing your numbers allows you to kind of scale things up. Hey, this is working, turn this up. This isn't working, turn this down. And they change over time. But, out of those 200, like what's your conversion rate? How many deals would you say you get out of that 200?
Yeah, absolutely. So for every 40 to 50 inbound leads, there is typically a solid creative finance deal within.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, so sometimes we still do cash deals, right? We don't only do creative deals. We have like 3 cash deals in escrow right now. Um, but I would say out of every 50 inbound warm leads, so quality conversations, you will have a creative contract within, right?
Wow.
And then there may be a deal or two of cash that is also in there. It's just, are you giving that right cash offer? So
Mm,
on average, right now, we're doing about 4 to 6 contracts per month. That's
I
where
love it. Yeah, and $15 a lead. You do the math.
we're at.
Somebody out there. uh, Going back, well, I guess what markets are you guys in? Is it
Yeah.
just Philly?
No, so we do the whole state of Pennsylvania. We
Okay.
do the bigger cities of Ohio. We do the DMV area, so Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, um, and DC, right? That whole area.
Okay.
Um, and we have a small marketing budget allocated to North Carolina.
Okay. Come on, just one state down, South Carolina.
Yeah.
No.
The reason
Uh,
that we don't do South Carolina, we did, but the wholesaling law,
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
tough workaround. So
Yep. That slowed
it's
things down.
it's
It's
very
made
hard.
us go back to agents.
Yeah, it's very hard
Yeah.
to double close creative finance deals
Yeah.
if you're going to assign
Yeah.
them. So
Uh, with going back to the coaching stuff, is there how many students you mentioned 30 you've successfully coached 30 plus. Is there a number to how many you'll have at a time? How many do you currently have? Because I know
yeah,
your time is you've got your closing deals, you're running the company, you're also sounds like very dedicated to the people that you have, the students that you have. So from my mind is like I can't do more than a couple at a time. But let's hear it from
yeah.
yeah,
So
Roman's
the power of 4 hands. So my
yeah.
and Jay,
Yeah.
we have 8 students right now. We cap it at 8. Um,
Okay.
so right now we do have a wait list, like for anybody who did want to sign up. We'll probably have an opening in about a month or so, but
Okay.
we cap it at 8. We keep it real tight. Reason being is if we start to grow too much, we're doing an injustice to our students, right?
Mm,
We don't have enough time for everybody. So right now
yeah.
we cap it to 8. We typically take students on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so 4 a day,
Okay.
um, and that's where their one-on-one times are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Like you're giving yourself enough time to be with each one, but without as well. uh, uh, poop. I did it again. It's gonna come back. 4, 8 students. No, it's gone. Darn it. What? I have another one. Unless you just have something you want to
Yeah,
interject.
I'm ready.
What are you in the coaching side of things, or just on your personal real estate side of things, or both? If you have an answer for both, like where are you trying to get to? What are you kind of struggling with at the moment for getting to there?
Yeah, absolutely. So end vision for us is to have a small but mighty team. We really do not want to grow it outside of where we're at now.
Mm,
Um, our main goal is to get me out of the closer role so that I could be more of like a COO, right? And manage everybody and make sure that operations are running smoothly. I would say the difficult or the challenges that we have right now is just finding the right fit for that position and
Yeah.
getting them up, running, and trained. Once we do that, we will have basically all of our seats filled, and the machine is just going to go.
Yeah.
And once we do that, we then have the ability to potentially take on more students. And honestly, I, I enjoy coaching more at this point more than I enjoy being on the phone call with sellers all day. The
Yeah.
fulfillment aspect of it is awesome when now you're
Mhm.
not only watching somebody who comes to you asking for help and now looking at them when they now we call it graduate from our program, right? And you've basically changed their life, right? Because
Yeah.
you've now given them a skill set and helped them make money and buy real estate, which is what they couldn't do 10 months ago.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
fulfillment.
I can totally second that for sure. Like, we're very early in our coaching. I mentioned the fit fatherhood. I may
Yep,
not have said fit fatherhood at the top of the hour, but
that's cool.
when somebody comes in and they're like, "Hey, I need this. This is where I'm trying to go," and you can make a couple changes or help them make a couple changes, and then the next week they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm down 6 pounds. That's why I'm here."
Exactly. It's like a proud
It's so
dad moment.
gratifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly like I do. It's kind of similar to raising the kids. Like you are teaching them, you're showing them these things, and then all of a sudden they're doing it. You're like, oh hey, he's just like he just went over and got the towel and cleaned up his water on the floor because
Yeah.
he's seen me do it so many times. You mentioned very quickly there about you're not interested in scaling this thing kind of past where you're at. You're just interested in freeing up your time. And I thought that was very cool. My guest last week, um, the real estate doctor, he had this huge company and he found like it wasn't any more valuable than having a smaller company. He said it on the podcast, like either be small and have a little small company or go huge because he was in like this medium place and like don't settle for medium. You're either going to be a Fortune 500 level company or you're going to be a smaller company that you're just
Yep.
being comfortable and like doing your thing. So I love that. I think it's something that gets brushed over a lot of the times, that we're in the same boat. Like we're not trying to go multi-billion-dollar company. That's not our interest. I don't
Yep.
want to have 500 employees. I say that today. Who knows? Maybe a few years from now that could change. But like, I just want to have a tight knit little group where I'm impacting the lives of my team, my family, and their families, and then like you are the students. We call them fit fathers, like
Yeah.
that come into our program. I did, as you were talking about your struggle with bringing on a closer role, I did remember what the other question was. And it is, I know you have a waiting list and it sounds like it's going to be pushed out, but for anybody that's out there listening, um, I guess, yeah, they can kind of self cancel themselves out. Are there like ideal students that you're looking for? Do they have to, like on the lines of, do they have to already have experience? Yada,
There's
yada.
there's no prerequisites to being a student of ours.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome. Because we work one-on-one though, one thing that we do look for is when we have you apply to our program and we hop on that first intro call with each other, we basically see if it's a good fit for not only you but for us too. We're going to spend a ton of time together. Are you a type of person that we can get along with, and vice versa, that you can get along with us too?
Mm,
And
yeah.
are you coachable? If you have great energy, you're a great fit for our community that's very supportive and positive, right? And like wants to lend a helping hand, and you're coachable, that's all we look for. Other than
Yeah.
that, everything else can be taught.
I
Um,
kinda figured that's what you'd say, but yeah, like,
if
I
there's also too, like I meant to mention this earlier, but me and Jay, we're actually doing a free webinar tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on how to structure creative finance deals and what makes a deal or no deal. Um,
okay.
if anybody is interested, I can send you the link, Nate, after after the call's off, maybe we could put it, in
Let's
the.
do this. Let I would ask this maybe in 5 or 10 minutes, but let's just do it now. What's the best way to reach out to you
Yeah.
or Jay that somebody could just directly say, "Hey, I want that training." If you're listening to this live and you're interested in that, or in the future within the next 26 hours, um, something like that. My math's not great, but how would I get a hold of you? And what should I like? Hey, give me the training or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike Scarpa on Facebook or Jay Scarpa, JAE.
Yeah.
We're also on Instagram. I'm Roman with Mike, and Jay's Roman with Jay. Those are the two best ways to get a hold of us.
There's periods in there though.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So
Roman
Roman
period
dot
with period, right?
exactly.
Yeah, they will be in the show notes. Unfortunately, they're not currently, and YouTube doesn't let me change the show notes until like 24 hours after the video is live, if I haven't already done it. So you'll have to just listen. Roman dot with dot Mike and Roman. Hers is the same, just with dot J, right? J-E.
Exactly.
Roman
Yep.
dot with dot J. Um, I appreciate that. If anybody's out there listening, definitely hit them up. They are both very responsive on their social medias and very willing to help. So I think that that webinar is going to be super powerful and super valuable for people. What is the waiting? You mentioned it's like a few weeks out.
Yeah, so we have a couple students that are graduating next month.
Yeah,
So once they graduate, a couple spots will be opening up.
yeah. And
So
there's
if
already
anybody is interested, reach out. We can have you apply. We'll have a quick intro call, and if it's a good fit for everybody, we can we'll put you on the list and we'll get you signed up, man.
yeah, and like something that we realized with our coaching now is, and to kind of go back to the previous question that I asked about your like ideal candidate, and you mentioned coachable, going to go out there and take action, and we didn't talk about price of the coaching, and I don't want to talk about that. We'll let anybody that's interested kind of have a conversation with you and even see if it's a good fit first. But what we found is people that come into our free Facebook group, they're not taking as much action. It's once they get behind the paywall, so to speak, and they've like put their money where their mouth is. That's when they're coming to the coaching calls. That's when they're responding to texts and giving us updates. That's when they're allowing us to help hold them accountable by telling us what their goals and their aspirations are and where they're at and what they're failing at, so we can help them out. So by having somebody pay for our time, it's that first step towards. I just gave, and I'm just going to throw a number. I just gave, Jay and Mike 5 grand for this. I better freaking go out and do what they're telling me to, or I just threw that money away. So, yeah, bam, 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 dead horse
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
I
100%.
I like to ask all the guests on networking with Nathaniel, besides the how to get in touch with you question. Are there any books, like 3 to 5 books, that have impacted your business, impacted your relationship, or just something that you really, really enjoyed reading or listening to?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 3 books. I will be the first person to say I need to get better with reading or listening to audiobooks, but the main three that I always resonate with and I always go back to is Profit First. Um,
Hmm.
that has helped us on the finance side of our business and how to basically manage cash and make sure
Yeah.
that we're getting paid and everybody else is. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and Never Split the Difference for sales.
Hmm. Wow. I'm pretty sure How to Win Friends and Never Split the Difference have been on before, but oddly enough, I don't think anybody's mentioned Profit First.
That's like
Which,
that's actually is the first as our students, right? That's actually the first thing that we tell you to do when you hop on with us is buy the book and read it.
yeah, and figure out how to allocate the things, because it's so easy for us to like bring in money and put ourselves second, third, fourth, fifth, because we're like, oh, I want to scale the business up. And we find ourselves, we haven't implemented it completely still. Like, wait, we just did a flip and where'd that money go? Oh, when
Yeah,
did the next flip? Well, what about us?
yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, so
Yeah,
I love that. I actually because it hasn't come up on Networking with Nathaniel, I haven't read it yet. I understand it a little bit because I've watched videos on it, but I think just having that physical copy and being able to go back and reference it whenever I want will be super powerful. So that one's getting put on the Amazon list.
yeah.
The last question I have for you, Mike, before we part is once your time on this earth is done.
Actually, there's one
Oh,
more too. It
okay, go.
just popped up. I actually
Yeah.
have it sitting right underneath here. So I'm a little bit biased, but it's me and Jay, we still self-manage all of our rentals. So it's
Mm,
called the self-managing landlord.
okay.
I'm a little bit biased because Jay was a co-author of the book. It's with bigger pockets. So
She was gonna get on you for not plugging that book.
yeah, I know if I didn't say
Put her
that.
down there in
Yeah.
the um,
But yeah, no,
definitely.
honestly, like there's a lot of stuff in there where it comes down to it, that has helped us from our issues with being a self-managing landlord, um,
Yeah.
with having bad tenants in the past, and what has I'm not even going to say it out loud because I don't want to jinx anything, but what has helped us
There's wood right there,
have,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, good tenants.
Yeah. Is it before I get to the final question then, you're self-managing, are these all in all those markets, or is this just local to you?
So we only hold properties in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
At least at the moment, we have long-term rentals in Philadelphia, and the rest of our properties that we own throughout the state of PA, we've all turned them into lease options or rent to owns.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's working out pretty well.
yep, it helps basically with managing our long-term rentals, boots on the ground, our actual contracting team. If there's anything that's needed, renovation, it's easy there. But when it comes to rent to own and lease options, there's not much turnover. And since the tenants are responsible for everything, it allows us to have a little bit more branches.
Yeah, you don't have those, like, "Hey, the light bulb's out" calls. That's a
Exactly.
little dramatic, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like, "Okay, put it's unscrew this way, lefty loosey, righty tighty." Oh, once your time on this earth is done, Mike, and you're wherever you believe that you go, what do you wanna be remembered for by the people that you've left behind here?
Absolutely. It's a great question. No one's ever asked
Mhm.
that before on any podcast. I would say the main thing that at least I myself want to be remembered for is just a open, ethical, and caring business person.
Mm,
Basically, somebody who was a little bit more selfless, who was there to actually make a change, right? And who did everything the ethical way. See a lot of
mm.
people doing things the non-ethical way for their own benefit, and I just want to be remembered not as a real estate mogul or as this creative financing guru, but as a entrepreneur who did things the right way and was there to help. So
Yeah, I love that, man. I know we only spent an hour together here, 54 minutes, but it seems like you're doing that, you're living it. Duran Levy was on a long time ago, and he kinda summed up what you said as, like, "Do good business."
yep,
Just do things the right way, live by your morals, live by your standards, and treat everybody with love and respect, and man, we'll go a long way. And so I appreciate you being here. If you can, hang out. If you gotta go because you got
sure.
students waiting, I'll see you in, like, 30 seconds. That was Mike Scarpa. Amazing. What a conversation there. What an amazing thing that they've done over the past 4 years, really focusing, over the past 2 years and are now being able to give back to, their students. It sounds like if you're looking to start an acquisitions company, reach out to them because they've got a really good thing going. I haven't talked to a lot of people that are coaching that give 10 months every week, 1 hour one-on-one like he just described. So that is pretty darn amazing. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. If at least if you got some value out of it and you feel like it's something worthwhile. If not, get the heck out of here. No, I'm just kidding. As always, on Thursdays at noon Eastern Time, I have my open Zoom Helping Hands Hour that you can come in and ask questions. I'm currently going through a training series of my own where we're talking about how to fit real estate investing into a busy schedule. Hey, a theme's going on here. I'm helping dads take the control of their health and wellness in their busy schedules. And we're trying to do the same thing with real estate investing. Last week, we talked about how to take an hour's worth of time and break into a new market, comp, underwrite, and we created a CRM with Google Sheets. I know Mike liked his folder on the side of his desk, but within the first 15 minutes, we had 3 or 4 agents that lined up to call on properties, and then spending the last 40 minutes of that hour making those calls and building those connections. So if that's something that you find that might be helpful for you, go to nathanielhovsepian.com. Helping Hands Hour is there. You click it, you register. If you can't make it live, you'll get the recordings. Until next week, appreciate y'all for being here.